Hey guys, it's Brandon. Thought I'd have a 15-minute game. Let's decided to do something a little different here. Played the French defense, and my opponent has played knight 2c3. Interesting. Well, I guess I'll probably take here. Oh. Well, alright, so we're going to transpose into a winnower. Usually white has to push this pawn here because I'm threatening just to take it. Okay. That's one way to resolve the tension, I guess. Anyway, usually in the winnower variation, white pushes e4, e5, and I don't mind this one so much. I'll just put the bishop here. It doesn't look like a great square for the bishop, but oh, is he planning to go queenside castle? That could be interesting. He has to be careful because rook is coming to the e file pretty quickly, and then the queen is going to be on the same file as the rook and the king. Alright, so this is a threat on the bishop. But not, well, it's sort of also a threat on the b-pawn, but if I play takes, bishop takes, rook to e1, e8, he can't take the pawn because of bishop to c8 check, picking up the queen. I don't want this bishop really hanging around, so rook e8 coming next. And this pawn is off limits. Ah. Very interesting. I could play a move here like knight d7 and just gambit the b-pawn and hope to play on the open b-file. I can play queen c8 and then try for knight to e4, threatening on both the fork and this bishop. I could play b6. I think I'll just play queen c8 and then maybe try to push c5 to try to get an open line against the king. Other possible moves, bishop d7, hitting the queen. a6 seems nice. I think I'll play knight e4. Next move is what I'm looking to get in anyway. My bishop is guarding the d-pawn, so that's nice. It's not doing much else, but later maybe I can find some active use for it on the h7 to b1 diagonal. It's sort of an open diagonal towards the king. And anyway, so knight e4 is what I'm looking for, hitting the f-pawn, threatening this fork and also the bishop. So let's see how black chooses to respond, or how white chooses to play this here. So I'm playing Dagrobe. Not sure, I can't remember if I said that. 1581. So knight e4 looks nice here. At the very least, even if I don't cripple any pawns here, I can get rid of the bishop pair. Oh, he just chooses to move the bishop back. That's interesting. All right, what about d5 here? Excuse me, c5. Takes, knight takes, or takes, queen takes. Seems fine. Should I go with development? Knight d7. Let's just try to open lines towards the king. And I can get a rook to the c file pretty quickly, I believe. Is my queen a little exposed out here? I don't think so. These bishops are sort of disconnecting the rooks. This bishop is doing nothing but stopping my knight from coming in here, and the queen on this square is also prohibiting this bishop from coming out into the game. So my opponent's pieces are not very well coordinated right now, I think, is my opinion. Yeah, that's an interesting move, looking for a queen trade. I don't think I'm really interested in a queen trade, but my rook is hanging, so if I want to hang on to the queens, I have to play queen c8 again. But I will do that, because I think I'm still better developed. Then I can play a6. This was okay if they want to take and strengthen my center, I think. But first, why don't we chase the queen and get my pawns going towards his king. Alright, so I'm trying to think if I should move the bishop or just live with the hanging pawns in the center. Or I could play queen takes. It's an isolated pawn, but see, knight c6, knight takes e6. Yeah, okay, I'm expecting knight takes e6 here. Yeah, and I'll just strengthen my center pawns. And okay, maybe it exposes the king a little bit, but my opponent still has the development problems. And it's kicking my knight back, so I'll just move my knight back. Still, I have the open c file, which I'm going to need to stick something on quickly. I was thinking about knight to b4, but yeah, see, but I don't think he's developed enough for something like this. But what still happens after knight e4? Let's see, g5, knight d7. Not sure. Okay, knight e4, queen e3, queen c7, f5. Knight takes f5. Alright, let's just get my knight onto this square. Maybe looking to come into c4. And when he plays the queen, when this person plays the queen somewhere to attack the knight, like there, I will play queen c7 to defend. And now I'm thinking about rook to c8, threatening mate. I guess I'll play knight d7 here. And And maybe on f4, I'll just play rook to c8. My opponent will have to spend a tempo getting, okay, rook c8. My opponent does have to spend a tempo here defending the king because I'm threatening mate in 1. So probably rook to d2. And I believe I can get out of the pin with knight c4. Bishop takes, and then takes the queen, and then if his bishop retreats, then this rook is hanging. But not anymore. So two attackers, two defenders. So I have to be careful here. It's a very uncomfortable pin for me. Okay, knight c4, bishop takes queen, takes the knight. Well, okay. Okay, knight c4, bishop takes queen, takes the knight, and I'm threatening nothing. But, let's see, do I have anything better here? If I play queen, queen a4, bishop takes knight, takes check, or takes on a2, threatening checkmate, so the rook has to move. I don't think I really get anything out of that. Alright. Let's go in for this queen trade line. Oh. Not interested in trading queens. Okay. That's fine. So, where to go now is the question. Still have this mate threat, and I have the open file on his king, and he hasn't got any open files on my king yet. Thinking about knight to c4. That's a nice square, but where to go from there is the question. Oh, weakening the dark squares. There's no dark square bishop, so I can play a move like this and threaten at least the check on a3. Well, the dark square bishop is here, but it's over on this side of the board. So also threatening, okay. Was gonna play rook c3, but that does not work. Queen here. Knight here. To here, check. King goes back. Let's see, knight c4 could be interesting. I'm thinking about knight to a4 check, taking advantage of the pin. King goes back, and then maybe a check on c3. Not sure. Trying to get this knight into c3. I'm just trying in any way to take advantage of these weakened dark squares. The king is the only one really defending the dark squares here. He cannot try to trade queens here with queen to c3 because that just fails to knight check. Still knight check. What about that? Knight check. If the king goes to a1, then what am I doing? King a1, and I still have to move the queen. Queen doesn't really have any good squares, so I'll just keep her on the dark squares for a moment, and I've got to watch my time a little bit. How to make progress here? really the question. And I do have to watch my time a little bit. Okay, so now the knight check is out of the picture, just simply because of the rook taking, or even the pawn taking, because this pawn is no longer pinned. I could try for doubling rooks. On the C file. Yeah. Okay. So he's doing a good job trying to get the bishop back to cover some of these dark squares. That's probably a good idea. I could push my center. I could push E5, chasing the rook off of the. Well, not really. You can go to like H4 or something. I could try for A4, A5. Okay, so he's just chasing my queen, really. So I'll go here, threatening, I think, possibly knight A4 check. And if anything takes, then queen takes C2 check. Followed by, well, I guess the king can get out, so it's not brilliant. Not sure it's enough. But I can play maybe A4, A5. Actually, I I had a stronger move there. I had knight takes check, picking up the queen. Boy, that's really unfortunate. I just had this check picking up the queen because his queen was undefended. I should have just thought a little longer about that move. Hard to see the tactics when you're talking at the same time. So anyway, one opportunity goes, but I still have a lot of play, I think, and you know, he's sort of struggling for anything against my king. Unfortunately, the queen is guarding some squares, some dark squares in his position. I'm still trying to calculate knight A4 check. Rook takes A4, queen takes check, but then king. Yeah, okay, it's just getting out of just gonna guard. But let's chase this rook, and then maybe I can even think about A4 as a pawn sacrifice. Well, it's not really a pawn sacrifice, but he might play queen B5 doesn't work. My queen's protected. Man, I'm really upset that I missed this easy tactic here. Knight check, picking up the queen. So let's just see where he chooses to go with the rook. I have a little bit of a time edge, but nothing serious. Okay. A4, pawn takes, knight takes check, and or I'll grab some kind of weakness against his king, either the C file or the A file or something. So I could also play A3 check, but I'd rather have the open files than the thorn pawn, I think, because after A3 check he'll probably just go king C1 and give the king some escape squares. Borderline crazy to play king to A1. But yeah, I mean, he still has, this bishop is not great, and is of course his rook on H1 is doing nothing. Oh. Okay, what about the check now? Or, let's see, check, king C8. Knight a3. All right, let's just do it. If he takes the pawn, that's fine. Obviously, he's trying to keep things closed here. If he takes the pawn and brings the king out, I'm okay with that. Just swing a rook over to the a file or something. And try to get something going on that side. No, he's not interested. He went into the corner. Alright, so what to do with this knight? I'm thinking knight here to here is good. This square on c3 looks nice coming in with tempo, and if he takes, he absolutely can't take the knight because of check and then mate when it gets here. He could play b5, b5, queen c7. So when the knight comes in to attack the queen, he cannot take it. So if it were my move right now and I played knight c3, bishop takes c3, queen takes check, king b1, and then checkmate because of the thorn pawn. So that's not in the cards for him. If he wants to be able to take the knight when it gets to c3, he'll have to move the king to b1 now. Maybe that doesn't even work. That doesn't really work anyway because of the rook hanging in the corner. I'm thinking about king b1, knight c3, bishop takes, queen takes, and then threatening checkmate. So he would have to go king to c1, but then queen check. Well, queen blocks. No, queen check, king moves. This seems dangerous to say the least because this is going to give me a nice pass pawn. You can't play rook takes because that's just a free rook. So I'm just going to push this pawn up the board. And I have a big time advantage now. So this pawn is coming. I'm just going to, I have no reason to do anything other than just push it. My e-pawn is hanging him. He hasn't been able to drum up anything against my king. The idea, I guess, of that was to cut out knight to c3, but it's just a free pawn. And his king is looking very shaky. So this pawn is just, I'm just going to push it, and then he's going to be in some trouble, I think. His rooks are just looking really, really weird right now. Really, really weird. Hard to argue they're doing anything at all. You could still try something like g6. G6. I guess I could just play h6 to try to keep things closed. The f pawn actually is pinned, and okay, I don't see any reason to do anything other than push this pawn here. I really don't. Yeah, blockading. Okay. The queen is not really the best blockader. I'm going to play this. Just getting a rook onto the open file. He still has to find work for his rooks to do here. Especially the one on h8. And now I need to find just some angles for myself here. I do have to watch out because this knight is hanging. I could put the knight on b2, which looks really in his face, but doesn't actually seem to do anything. It doesn't really control any squares from there. Well, I guess I could go knight to b2 to a3. Alright, so he's threatening queen to h7 check. So I guess I'll just stop that with g6. Queen and the rook lining up on h7. But he only has 30 seconds to play here. And it's looking pretty grim. Yeah, so that was just a real desperate sort of attempt. Hard to think of a concrete way to break into the position here. I could try doubling. Or what about Queen d7 threatening checkmate? Queen d7, that doesn't really work because then he'll just play bishop takes. That would threaten checkmate here because the king can't run. But if I play queen d7, he'll play bishop takes, covering the mate and getting this pawn from me. Well, okay, queen c7, bishop takes, queen takes. I don't know. I'm just going to double rooks. He only has 30 seconds. So I'm going to work on doubling rooks here onto the d file, and that will threaten checkmate. And still hang on to my pawn. And this is hitting the rook, but what if I just move the rook here? Still 13 seconds. Okay, attacking the d pawn, but how about rook here? Attacking his queen. And is there some kind of mate here? I'm not 100% sure. It looks like there should be something, but I just don't see anything concrete. I could play queen d5, threatening the checkmate here. Seems fine. And okay, so he ran out of time, but I don't think there's a way to stop this queen to a2 checkmate. Let's just take a look at the position here. Does anybody? I don't see it, except to give up the queen. Well, queen here, and then push, and queen here, and knight comes in here, threatening the mate again. So it just looks like there's really nothing to be going on here. But let's take a look at what the computer has to say about this final position. I think it's completely winning. I think queen d5 was just a completely winning move here. Yeah, computer says queen d5 is mating. There's nothing. There's queen b1, c2, queen c1, knight c3, exactly the variation I outlined before. So it's saying here c2, queen c1, knight c3, and rook c4, it's saying, for some reason. Oh, just to stall. Queen takes c4. Oh, Queen takes a3. Okay. Rook d1. But yeah, rook d1 check. Rook takes is the only move, and then. No, it's not the only move, but it's all just really bad for black. But let's take a quick look at the game in total here. Computer preferred knight c6 there, just gambiting the pawn. Rook e7. This is indirectly protecting the pawn because of if takes here, then of course bishop c8 check just picks up the queen. So he went queenside castle, so we're in for a bit of a thing here. Computer likes my move, queen c8. Bishop f5, it said, attacking the queen. I played knight e4, and it moved the bishop back. c5, dc, knight d7, it says. It doesn't want me to recapture the pawn right away. It just said knight d7. Queen here, queen c8. I just wanted to hold on to queens. a6. Yeah, the computer likes the way I played this. Knight c6. Yeah. Knight took on e3. Computer prefers queen takes e6, but I just wanted to build my center here. And, yeah, knight e4. Well, it's a little bit in white's favor. Queen e3. Yeah, I needed to go knight c4 right away, I guess. Well, okay. Rook ac8, yeah, just a tempo. And it's saying knight c4 also, going with this queen trade line. I offered the trade of queens with bishop takes and then knight takes queen. But he wanted to get rid of one of his pieces, I guess that was doing nothing, but it just let my attack keep wandering on. And this is a little bit of a weakening move. Just trying to keep on the dark squares here. Comp says knight b6. Oh, okay, knight b6, and then threatening to come into here with a fork because of the pin. I saw that fork, but I wanted to do the check, which didn't work out. So he's chasing me around a little bit here. And here, did I just miss? Yeah, I saw it in the game right after I made the move. And the computer's saying right now, just knight a4 check, just picks up the queen. So really frustrating to miss tactics like that. But this is still even. And the computer says it's still even. So when you defend like a perfect computer, then it's, I guess, even. But quote unquote. But now it's starting to like black's attack a lot. It's yeah, this is that move is just desperation because this pawn is really a monster, and his pieces are really doing nothing. Queen c2, rook e. It looked rook e to d8. I played this rook to d8, so I played this pretty accurately. I could have taken the f pawn, but I just decided to defend against the threat. I guess queen takes, and then queen takes h7, king f8, and then the computer's saying don't even worry about the h7 pawn here. Computers like to do this. Computers like to just take pawns, and then when you come in like this and it says, okay, king f8, now what have you got? Nothing. You know, it's just, computers like to do that. Humans would rather, I think, defend against some threats before. Yeah, so I guess I could have just gone right away to d2, but I wasn't really thinking about it because he should have just gone to d2 right away. Yeah, queen d5, and it's just over here. So interesting game. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and we'll see you next time.